I was very confused.
Didn't really know how to react at first.
I was always at two different houses.
I felt even more closed off.
I don't want it to tear apart.
Kids feel confused and scared.
They're just as emotional about it as you are, even if they may not understand what's really happening.
I mean, it hurts.
I was really young when my parents separated. My dad moved out whenever I was only 9 months old. I know that there's a lot of assumptions that whenever your kids are so little and so young that, okay, maybe it's not going to affect them. They won't even know the difference. They won't know. But I've realized, and now that I've gotten older, I can look back and really think about, okay, that really did affect me. And whether people want to say that it's going to affect a little kid or not, it really did.
Parents need to understand when they go through the process of divorce that not only is it going to impact them and change their lives, but also their children's. That it really impacts their children's lives, and it really can have a long-lasting effect.
At a young age, parents got divorced, and it was kind of a struggle to really capture what that was. Getting older, of course, I fully realized what it actually entailed. But I guess divorce to me was really just, the separation.
Divorce is an ongoing process where a family is moving from one household to two different households.
Children may feel that all of a sudden their whole life has just come to a crashing end because they can't conceptualize what it will be like once the parents are no longer living together, because that's all that they've known.
I was very confused when I was younger about what was happening, so I had a lot of nightmares, and I just remember being really confused.
I think I kind of put it on myself, even though as a kid I didn't know what was going on anyway, but I guess they're both leaving and I'm the only one that's still staying mixed between them, so maybe I thought that I was the person that was causing everything. So it kind of made me really jumbled up as a kid.
I don't want it to tear apart. I don't want it to break away. I don't want for me and my dad not to talk anymore.
We approached our kids together and had planned how we wanted the conversation to go. We made sure that we presented it in a way where neither one of us was at fault, that it was a mutual decision. Our kids were surprised because they didn't see outward signs of us fighting or any turmoil or stress. And so it was a bit of a shock to our kids. My daughter's was hard to watch. I'm very close to my daughter. She's 16 years old. She did not see this coming. Her face kind of went white and blank, and you could see just the wheels turning, and I'm not even sure she heard a lot of what we said after, we announced that we were getting a divorce. So that was very difficult, very, very difficult.
Sometimes parents will come in for a consultation and ask, how do we tell our kids about the divorce? And I will tell them, sit down together as a family unit, dad and mom, and tell your children together, and then studies show they have 1 minute before their kid's brain goes offline and starts thinking about what's going to happen to me, where is my bed going to be, where is my pet going to be, where is my blanket, what school am I going to. So that's all the stuff that goes through their minds.
Me and Mama we were in her room, and she was like, she can't do this anymore. She was like, she needed a break. Maybe because they've been hurt too much, or they don't like how their relationship is working.
The oldest, my son, was 9, and it was definitely important to explain to him, kind of what's going on, and just ensure that we just, gave him a lot of love and really made sure that he understood that, we both loved him and that it wasn't about him. And a lot of that stuff you hear, a little cliche, but it's really important to sort of make sure that, he felt like his world wasn't changing as much as ours was.
Because my dad did live so far away, I was scared that maybe he wasn't going to come back, or, we're moving far away. Am I never going to see him again? Am I never going to talk to him again?
Kids feel confused and scared and uncertain about what is going to happen to them. And it affects them developmentally, and it affects them emotionally. It has a huge impact on them.
Divorce is very similar to losing a significant person in a family. The same loss is felt in terms of the longing and the desire of the family as it once was before. Children will have the same shock, denial, anger, sadness, depression, and thinking that somehow or another it was their fault that mom and dad got divorced, and that somehow or another they can control and fix it and make it back and put them back together again.
I didn't really understand what was happening, but I did feel like something bad had happened and like something had been lost.
I talk to people who think, who are getting through the divorce, they go, no, my kids are just fine, and they seem to be reacting. I'm like, no kid is ever just fine from a divorce.
I felt pretty angry in the get-go. I remember being a little angry at my dad, just for leaving, I guess. And that really upset him, because he didn't want me to be mad at him for anything.
The grieving process for a child is very different from what it looks like in a parent.
Grief happens in multiple ways. You might see anger and you might see sadness, and they may cycle between all of those stages. So you might see your kid irritable one week and you might see them sad another week, and that's all part of the grief cycle. It's important for the parent to let the child express their emotions their way. Otherwise, they might turn their emotions in inappropriate ways, and they may act out at school, or you might see issues arise with their siblings.
My daughter may still be grieving that. She has not opened up a lot. One of the things we did initially was immediately contacted her school, her teachers, all her friends' parents, told them what was going on, and made sure we had a community looking out for her and getting back to us if they saw any outward signs that she was affected by this.
Sadness is another stage that children will go through, as well as you as you're going through the divorce process. And so it's common that children might feel that sense of hopelessness, and that lack of normalcy, that their mom and dad will get back together, or that their family is different from everybody else's family.
Some of these behaviors throw parents off because it's like, why is my child acting like this? So it's important for parents to see in their children what they're going through, and again, validate their feelings, acknowledge their feelings. That is what helps kids heal. Like, somebody sees what I'm feeling and it's okay. It's okay that I feel this way.
Counseling is really important for kids at this time, because sometimes they don't feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and feelings to mom and dad because they think that it might anger them, or they feel like they're choosing one parent over the other if they have an issue with a particular parent. And so counseling offers them a safe place to discuss their thoughts and feelings.
In the beginning, when we separated, I had got an apartment, and so it wasn't mommy and daddy under the same roof anymore. I noticed that she was really emotional. She just cried. You just never knew when she was just gonna burst out in tears. And so I took a moment to kind of step back and try to figure out what is it that I've done. And it's really nothing that you can fix at that moment sometimes. Sometimes you just have to let her cry. At that point, I held her every time that she just tried to calm her down as much as possible.
For me, I felt even more closed off from my dad, because we never were really that close before. So I felt a little bit more closed off. I've put in so much trust and care into them that I don't want someone to just leave out of my life.
So the counselor was great because it gave me an opportunity to talk to someone that wasn't directly involved with my step family, and somebody, it was a third party that would listen to anything I had to say about how I was feeling or my anger, or some questions or concerns I had, without my parents being even in the room. So it was nice having a person that would not judge me in any way.
I think that kids definitely need counseling. I think they need somebody to talk to help them sort through their emotions, because even kids don't understand how they're feeling or why they're feeling or even what their emotions are. I think having somebody else that's not so emotionally entwined in the divorce or the separation, I think that really helps. It makes them have someone else to talk to, someone else they can trust, so they don't have to tell mom, I really miss dad and I feel bad about that because I don't want to hurt your feelings, because they should not have to feel that way.
So the advice that I would give parents when their children are grieving and going through the process is to be patient with them and to be understanding. And sometimes I tell parents that means that maybe you need to go on a timeout and walk away from your kids if you're feeling really frustrated. So children have the right to be loved unconditionally. And in a divorce, that is really important. And no matter what they're feeling or how they act or what they do, they still need you to love them. And they need you to love them to adulthood. That's your job.
How parents co-parent will predict how well the children will do when it comes to divorce.
I guess I do wish that they had not yelled every time they'd seen each other for the first year after the divorce and during the divorce, because that was kind of both, well, it's annoying now, but back then it was kind of scary.
Parents will come in and say, oh, I only have this many years left with this co-parent, and I tell them, unfortunately, it's the rest of your life, because your child is going to graduate and get married and have grandchildren, and you are still going to be connected to your co-parent. So it's in your better interest to get along with them and find a way to get along with them.
Good communication between parents was clearly beneficial to me. Knowing that they could talk to each other without having to have me as intermediary was great. Knowing that they could plan schedules, plan meals, plan whatever without me was great. Just putting me first. They always talked about me whenever they were on the phone. They wanted to make sure I was having a good time, and wasn't really nervous or worried about the divorce. That I was just being a kid.
There's still those little things that can ignite, you go from 0 to 60 really quickly. But even my son, he'll be with his dad, and his dad is trying to get a hold of me, and I don't answer his phone call, but I will answer my son's phone call, and I'm like, hey, what's up? Dad's trying to get a hold of you. And then I hear him in the background, and then my son's like, why am I in this conversation? I'm guilty of, all those things that they tell you not to do. Now that's one of the things that he and I did not have. We did not have that kind of co-parenting class, things that you should and should not be doing. Going back, I wish that we would have done something more. I could have done much better.
So a lot of things that we tell parents about not to do, the main one is keeping the kids out of the middle, not giving kids adult information, not having them be messengers, going back and forth. Children don't like that.
Well, sometimes parents may engage during the divorce process as using their child as spies, and they often interrogate their children about what their parent is doing or how they're running their household. It's important not to put children in those positions.
There can't ever be talking negatively about each other in front of your kids, and that's their other parent, and they look up to them, and you can't diminish them in the eyes of your kids. And I know that that's difficult in some situations with some breakups, but it's not worth the damage that you do to your kids and the position that you put them in.
I have to think about my daughter's feelings towards dad and making sure I'm not speaking ill about him. When she says, "Where's daddy?" I just tell her, he's probably at work or he's probably somewhere else. We can call him later. Just can't put your kids in the middle of this.
Your child has both of you in them, and they know that because when they're growing up, you know, the family will say, oh, you do this just like mom, or you look just like dad. If your mom bad-mouthing dad to your child, you're bad-mouthing a part of them. And that is painful for them because they don't have discernment to know, oh, mom's just talking about dad. They take that personally.
Having flexibility with your child's schedule or with the parenting plan leads to less conflict between parents. Lots of things often come up as children are involved in different activities, birthday parties, change in baseball schedules, what have you. So parents need to be open to the idea that not everything's going to be concrete. It's important that when it's your weekend with your child, that is your child's time with you and not your time with the child. They're still trying to create homes with both of these households. And so you want to make this focused on how they're spending time with you versus how you're spending time with them.
They tell me all the time, and they show me love, like, show me that I'm important, and that I mean a lot to them.